Hey, what's going on, diecast collectors and enthusiasts? Welcome to a Sunday night. 3 diecast brands, 3 automotive brands, 3 cars of each brand. And what you're looking at is a Greenlight Volkswagen. Neither Greenlight nor Volkswagen will be featured in this video. But let's start taking a look here. The first diecast brand is Kyosho. And as you can see, the first automotive brand is Alfa Romeo, starting with the Montreal. This is probably my favorite of the Alfa Romeo, at least in diecast form. I haven't really seen a real one, but as far as diecast goes, I love the lines on the car. I love the wheels. It's very nicely executed by Kyosho. Do a little spin around here. Second car is a Giulia, probably the most iconic vintage Alfa Romeo. And if that's not the case, I only say that because it's the most, probably the most replicated in diecast form, at least in 1:64 scale. So typically for that to happen, it's because the car is very popular. And this is another extraordinary display of execution from Kyosho. It's another car with very sexy European lines. All Kyosho cars have lensed headlights and taillights, the absolute vast majority of them. All are properly proportioned and stanced, as is the case with this. Just a gorgeous casting. And then my least favorite of the Alfa, at least of these 3, would be this one here. This is a Junior Z. Still a really cool car though. Definitely has that Italian quality to it. Lensed headlights and taillights. Prototypical wheels. All of these have rubber tires with tread. Has that distinctive Alfa front end. But you guys can be the judge as to which one is your favorite. I think I have 3 great cars here in 3 great colors. Italy represented. And I think Kyosho just does a great job. I do, with Kyosho, I tend to like the older cars better than the more modern cars. But I do collect both. But if I have expendable cash and I want a Kyosho, typically I look at the older models first. Next brand, Tomica Limited Vintage, Nissan. So we'll start with this. This is a beautiful example of a 260 2+2Z. This is my favorite Nissan Z casting in 1:64 scale. I know TLV has done a bunch of them. There's a lot of brands that have done a lot of them. I know Kyosho's done a lot of them. Konami, Kyosho, even in some of their premium releases like the Beads collection. You even now have Greenlight and M2 trying to get some of that. And even Hot Wheels has some nice Fairlady Z castings. But this one here, for whatever reason, this is the one for me. If I could only have one, or if I had to pick one, this would be it. It's true to scale. Unlike any of the Kyoshos, this one is a metal body with a metal base. It has lens headlights and tail lights. Rubber tires with tread. It's a great color. It's just very, very well done. All of these cars, well, 6 of the 9 for sure, are very well done. 3 of the 9, well, we'll talk about it when we get there. I think you all might be surprised with the last 3. But you can always tell a nicely done die-cast car if you go to take some pictures and you try getting different angles. If you can't find a bad angle, then it's well done. This car, you can't find a bad angle. Every angle that you look at it, it almost looks like the actual car. I mean, it's not often that you find that in a 1:64 scale die-cast car. Usually, you're going to find some kind of flaw somewhere, like the tires are too wide or something is off proportionately. Don't get much of that with Tomica Limited Vintage. This is one of my favorite cars in my entire collection, and probably one of the best replicated cars in my entire collection. This next one doesn't really have the wow factor to it, but definitely to me has the cool factor. And this is a Nissan Prairie. This was known in the US as a Nissan Stanza wagon. So it was commercially available here in the US. The only difference is it was a left-hand drive. This is a right-hand drive. And it had a different name. But the styling and the body style was pretty much the same. And this is another one with Tomica Limited Vintage. Even though the car doesn't have the sex appeal that the Z might have, there still really can't catch a bad angle of it. TLV and Kyosho to me are the absolute most proper brands out there. It's really hard to find fault with their stuff. And the last car for the TLV Nissans is this Nissan Skyline. It's a Japan Skyline. I'll move it over here a little bit. As far as Skylines go, this one is probably one of the lesser desirable Skylines. Everybody seems to either want, as far as classic Skylines go, it's either the Hakosuka or the Kenmari. And then for the modern Skylines, everyone seems to want an R32 or an R34. But for me, I love the C210 Skyline, and I love the R30 Skyline. I'm also a massive fan of the Kenmari Skyline. In fact, I would probably take any of those 3 over an R32 or an R34. is another car with metal body, metal base, lens, headlights, and taillights, and very highly detailed prototypical wheels there. Got the chrome lip. Also have a nice, highly detailed back end with lens taillights. The interior on these cars, something I didn't really talk about, very, very highly detailed. Like in the Z, you've got a wood steering wheel. I know my camera's not gonna pick that up. Oh, maybe it will. Kind of simulated wood steering wheel there. The interior on TLV is definitely more detailed than Kyosho. Kyosho interiors are very detailed from a sculpting standpoint, but I'm pretty sure all of my interiors are black on all of my Kyosho cars. I would have to double check that. I know the vast majority of them are black. Whereas with Tomica Limited Vintage, they will give you an authentic color of interior, as well as a factory color for the exterior of the car. Kyosho's really good about that as well, though. The last three are probably going to surprise a lot of you. I'm kind of surprised at myself that I'm doing it, but I haven't really taken a close look at these in a while. The brand is M2. Well, the diecast brand is M2. The automotive brand is not Nissan. It is Chevrolet. So we're going to start with this Chevy Apache truck. And I'm very critical of M2. But I can appreciate good art when I see it, and the styling of the cars. You know, my issues with M2 aren't with the artistic. It's not the what's the word I'm looking for? My issues with M2 aren't with the design. It's with the build quality. Mainly just the build quality. I love this 1954. This is one of my favorite M2 toolings. The F100 truck, 54 Bel Air. I really like the Hakko Skyline that they have. I like the Econoline. These are nice though because transparent lens headlights on the 54 and the 55, which is the next one we're going to look at here. But they don't have transparent lens taillights. Although they do almost have a lensed look to them. Because of the way that they're made, it almost does look lensed. It's just a little plastic molding that is chromed and then painted. And when you paint that red over the chrome, it does give it a really nice look. But look how sharp that car looks. You know, my other issue, big issue, is the opening doors. I just think 1 to 64, you know, if you're going for like authentic replication, I just don't think you should do it in this scale. But other than that, I think this car looks really, really nice. And these cars do have very nice, highly detailed interiors. Big bench seat, big old 1955 steering wheel. They even go to the trouble to put the hood ornaments on the cars, which you have to be careful opening the hood. You know, it's hard not to open the hood using this, but you want to be careful using that when you open the hood because that is liable to just break off. Nicely detailed engines, although I don't think they are the nicest engines in the scale. Um, I still give that to the Earl American Muscle, and I would even put Auto World ahead of M2 when it comes to engine detail. But there you have it. 1955 Chevy Bel Air, 1954 Chevy Bel Air. This one also features an opening hood. The 54 is very loose. The doors just swing open. The hood just swings open. I'm surprised that it's even staying open right now. I think on some of these you can go in and tighten some screws to tighten everything up, so I may try that. And on the on the Apache, it's actually a Cameo, not an Apache, but they're very similar. And this is a 1958. So 54, 55. And then 58. All M2 Chevrolet. I don't even know the years on these cars, so I'm not even going to try it. I think, though, the Prairie, mid-1980s, the Skyline, early 1980s, late 70s, early 80s, right around 1980. And this guy here, I think, is going to be mid-70s, I think. And with Alfa, I'm not even going to try. And you can definitely see the scaling difference. Kyosho, pretty close. TLV is 100% true to scale. Kyosho's very close. M2, while these are much larger cars in actuality than the Alphas and the Nissans, they still are. I would call these 1 to 60 scale. But there you go. There's your look at 9 highly detailed die-cast replicas. You all have a good night.